Officer Mark Brennan thought his badge gave him unchecked power, confidently testifying against Kira Marshall in a small-town courtroom, accusing her of assaulting an officer during a routine traffic stop. His story was convincing, his authority unquestioned, until Kira, a black woman with a hidden past as a decorated FBI agent, took the stand. What unfolded wasn't just the unraveling of Brennan's lies, but a reckoning that exposed his pattern of misconduct, proving that even a badge couldn't shield him from the truth when he targeted the wrong woman. Kira Marshall sat quietly at the defendant's table in the Clayton County Courthouse, her expression calm but alert. At 34, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that went unnoticed by most in the room. The charge against her, assaulting a police officer, was serious, carrying the potential for jail time. Officer Mark Brennan, a 15-year veteran of the Clayton Police Department, took the stand first, his uniform pressed, his demeanor self-assured. To the jury, he was the embodiment of law and order, his word carrying the weight of his badge. He described Kira as volatile, claiming she had lashed out during a traffic stop, striking him when he attempted to detain her for reckless driving. Brennan's testimony was detailed and polished. He recounted pulling Kira over on a quiet road just outside town, alleging she was speeding at 25 miles per hour over the limit. When he approached her vehicle, he said she was immediately hostile, refusing to provide her license and yelling obscenities. According to Brennan, the situation escalated when Kira stepped out of her car, ignoring his commands, and swung at him, forcing him to restrain her. He painted a picture of a dangerous woman who needed to be subdued for public safety. The prosecutor, a seasoned attorney named Laura Hensley, leaned into Brennan's account, asking pointed questions to emphasize Kira's alleged aggression. Officer Brennan, would you say the defendant posed an immediate threat? Hensley asked. Brennan nodded gravely. Absolutely. I had no choice but to act to protect myself and others. The jury listened intently, some nodding as Brennan spoke. His years on the force and confident delivery made his story seem airtight. Kira's public defender, Daniel Ortiz, scribbled notes, his face unreadable. Kira, dressed in a simple navy suit, kept her hands folded, her gaze steady. To the casual observer, she might have appeared resigned, but her composure was the product of years of training. Unknown to the courtroom, Kira Marshall was a former FBI special agent, now working as a private security consultant. She had spent a decade investigating organized crime, leading high-stakes operations, and earning commendations for her sharp mind and unshakable discipline. This courtroom was just another challenge, one she was prepared to meet. Ortiz began his cross-examination, his tone measured but direct. Officer Brennan, can you confirm the exact speed you recorded for Ms. Marshall's vehicle? Brennan repeated his claim of 25 miles over the limit, his voice unwavering. Ortiz pressed further. And you're certain she struck you without provocation? Brennan doubled down, insisting Kira had been combative from the start. She was out of control, he said. I've dealt with a lot of people in my career, and she was one of the worst. Ortiz nodded, jotting down a note, his calm demeanor masking the trap he was setting. What Brennan didn't know was that Kira had a dashcam in her car, a habit from her FBI days when she'd learned to document every interaction. The footage, which Ortiz had secured, told a starkly different story from Brennan's testimony. It showed Kira pulling over promptly when signaled, her hands visible on the steering wheel as Brennan approached. She provided her license and registration without hesitation, her tone polite but firm. When Brennan asked her to step out of the vehicle, citing suspicious behavior, Kira complied, asking calmly why she was being detained for a minor speeding violation. The audio captured Brennan's voice growing sharp, accusing her of not belonging in the area, a predominantly white neighborhood where Kira had been visiting a client. The footage showed no assault, no yelling, no resistance. Instead, it revealed Brennan escalating the encounter, raising his voice and grabbing Kira's arm when she questioned his reasoning. He handcuffed her with force, ignoring her calm request for an explanation. The dashcam also captured a moment Brennan omitted from his report, a derogatory comment about Kira's race, muttered under his breath as he led her to his patrol car. Ortiz introduced the footage as evidence, and the courtroom's atmosphere shifted. The prosecutor objected, arguing the video's chain of custody was unclear, but the judge overruled, allowing it to be played. As the footage rolled, the jury watched in silence. Kira's professionalism stood in sharp contrast to Brennan's aggression. The moment he claimed she struck him, the video showed her hands at her sides, complying with his orders. His claim of obscenities? The audio captured only Kira's measured responses. The jury's faces hardened, their trust in Brennan eroding. Brennan shifted uncomfortably on the stand, his earlier confidence replaced by unease. Ortiz seized the moment, his questions now cutting. "Officer Brennan, can you explain why your testimony contradicts the evidence we've just seen?" Brennan stammered, claiming the stress of the moment had clouded his memory. "It was a tense situation," he said, his voice faltering. "Details can get mixed up." Ortiz didn't relent. "Tense? The footage shows my client complying fully. Yet you claimed she assaulted you. Why would you misrepresent the events so drastically?" Brennan's responses grew weaker, his excuses unraveling as Ortiz highlighted every discrepancy. The jury's murmurs grew louder, their skepticism palpable. Then came the pivotal moment. Ortiz called Kira to the stand. Until now, she had been a silent figure, her background unknown to the court. Ortiz asked her to state her occupation. Kira's voice was clear and steady. "I'm a private security consultant, formerly a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation for 10 years. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge leaned forward, the prosecutor froze, and the jury's eyes widened. Kira explained her background briefly, but authoritatively. She had investigated major cases, from drug trafficking to cybercrime, and had been trained to handle high-pressure situations with precision. Her record included commendations for bravery and leadership. She described the night of the traffic stop, confirming the dashcam's accuracy. "I followed protocol," she said. "I provided my documentation, complied with instructions, and remained calm." Officer Brennan's account is inaccurate. Hensley, caught off guard, tried to challenge Kira's credibility, suggesting she might have provoked Brennan due to her training, perhaps acting overly confident. Kira's response was sharp but composed. "Ma'am, my training taught me to de-escalate, not provoke. I've faced armed suspects without losing my cool. A traffic stop doesn't faze me." The courtroom buzzed, some jurors nodding in respect. Kira's credentials, combined with the dashcam evidence, were dismantling the prosecution's case. Ortiz called a final witness, Supervisory Special Agent Carla Nguyen, Kira's former colleague at the FBI. Nguyen testified to Kira's character and professionalism. "Agent Marshall was one of our best," Nguyen said. "She's disciplined, ethical, and has a track record of handling volatile situations with composure. The idea that she would assault an officer is inconsistent with everything I know about her." Nguyen also confirmed Kira had been in Clayton County on business, consulting for a private client, not engaging in reckless behavior. The prosecution's case collapsed. Hensley scrambled to salvage her argument, but the jury's expressions told the story. They had seen the footage, heard Kira's testimony, and listened to Nguyen's endorsement. Brennan's lies were exposed, and his derogatory comment on the dashcam hinted at a bias that had driven his actions. The jury deliberated for just 45 minutes before returning a not guilty verdict. Kira exhaled, her composure unbroken, but the weight of the ordeal lingered. The trial's aftermath was swift and far-reaching. Local media caught wind of the story, running headlines about a decorated black FBI agent wrongfully targeted by a police officer. Community activists demanded an investigation into Brennan's conduct, pointing to the dashcam's racial comment as evidence of bias. The Clayton Police Department placed Brennan on administrative leave, launching an internal review. Records surfaced showing Brennan had a history of complaints, disproportionately against people of color, that had been dismissed or ignored over the years. Kira, meanwhile, returned to her work, her focus unshaken. She didn't seek publicity, but her story resonated. Civil rights groups reached out, asking her to speak at events about systemic bias in policing. She agreed to a few, sharing her experience with measured candor. "This wasn't just about me," she told one audience. It's about everyone who's been judged before they're heard. We need accountability, not badges that act like shields. Her words struck a chord, inspiring calls for reform in the community. The police department implemented new policies, including mandatory body cameras and bias training, prompted by the public outcry. Brennan faced disciplinary action, and while he maintained his version of events, the evidence was undeniable. The dashcam footage became a case study in police academies, highlighting the consequences of false reporting and unchecked bias. Kira's name became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that truth could prevail even against the weight of authority. For Kira, the trial was a detour in a career defined by service and discipline. She continued her consulting work, mentoring young women in security and law enforcement. The courtroom had been a battleground, but she had faced it with the same clarity that had guided her through FBI operations. Her story wasn't just about one traffic stop or one trial. It was about standing firm, exposing lies, and proving that no badge could silence the truth when it came from the right woman.